Hi guys, thanks for watching this video on Python programming basics. It's going to be probably my longest video I've ever uploaded, but I want to just get it all done in one video, and it's going to be all the basics of Python, how to do all the basic commands, and get you to a good level. So before we get started, let's just have a look at what Python is and whether this video is for you. It's a high-level programming language and used by many web applications like YouTube and Dropbox, and it's very simple. One of the great things about Python is that it's more understandable than other programming languages, and it's got less lines of code often, and it's also very easy to read. It massively emphasises readability. And to make everything better, it's also open source, which means people can do what they want with it with no copyright restrictions. So, who uses Python? Battlefield 2, Walt Disney, Google and Yahoo, Shopzilla, and as well as those above, YouTube, Dropbox, SurveyMonkey and Quora also use Python for elements of their sites. So it's very widely used by lots of different web applications and stuff. But all of these things like Battlefield 2, Google, Walt Disney, they don't just use one programming language, of course, they use loads. But each different component of a website has probably got a different programming language. There's going to be loads behind ones like Battlefield 2. They couldn't use Python to actually build the game. It's only used for scorekeeping and team balancing. Okay, now you need to install Python. And I got mine off the website under downloads, Python 3.5.1. You just click on that and then it'll start downloading. It'll then take a few seconds. When you just run it, it's fairly self-explanatory. But also, there's this repl.it. It's a great emulation website for languages. It's got so many: Python, Ruby, JavaScript, all of these. Well, so many. Loads. Okay, but I'm just going to use normal Python. However, I've already got it on my computer because I use Python all the time for loads of different things, for automating boring stuff. Check out I'll leave a book in my description. It's really good. Okay, so this is the emulator, as we saw. So this side's where you type the code. This is where the program runs. Then the run button runs the program on the black side. The clear button clears all the text on this side. Python 3 is the name of the language. If you hit this icon here, allows you to alter the text size and screen colour. That's the line number. Now, before I get on to data types, this is the actual downloaded Python, and if you just go on options, configure IDLE, it'll give you loads of different fonts you can use. That'll let you alter the text size. It'll let you change colours. All of this stuff. It's all great. I made mine super big so that you can see what I'm doing. If I made it small, you wouldn't be able to. Now, we're just very quickly, before we get started, going to go over 4 main data types: string, float, integer and Boolean. Now, when you are storing things in Python, when you got different data types, you've got a string. Now, a string is alphanumeric text, so it's numbers, letters, it can be anything. A float is a number with a decimal place. An integer is like just a whole number, basically. And a Boolean is true or false. Now, you might not have understood all of that because that was a bit vague. How do I clear this? I'm just type in clear. No, of course I can't. New file. Right, but I'll just show you like it was before. Right, you can For example, if I type in 3 equals 3, it'll tell me true. Now that's a Boolean because it's either true or false. If I do 3 equals 2, false. So these are Booleans. And then if I was to type in 4 times by 4, 16, that's an integer. If I was to type in 4.3 times by 3.8, 16.34, now that's a float. And then if I was to type in, I don't know, it won't work, but still, that'd be a string. This is just for shell, but you can do all sorts of maths and stuff in here. Now let's just get on with the actual programming. One of the main things that you need to know is print. So if I was to print hello and welcome to Python programming. Okay, if I just run that now, it'll say here, hello and welcome to Python programming. So, in a nutshell, what print does is it prints a message to the screen. To use print, you put all the writing in brackets in speech marks. And if you're printing a variable, you just have to have it just inside the brackets with no speech marks. However, if you don't know what a variable is, we'll cover that later. So this example below shows what exact syntax to use, with the speech being inside the speech marks and the variables being just inside the brackets. Ignore that variables bit. So that is print. It just prints something out to the screen, and you can print anything. I'll just print Bob. Right, you run module. Hello, welcome to Python programming Bob. So you can just print anything. Now the next thing we're going to do is input. Now input, it requires an input from the user. It needs the user to put in something to continue with the program. So you can do this. So to continue with the program, please press enter. Okay, then I can run that now. And to continue with it, I'd have to press enter. That wasn't a great example. I'll just print below. You continued. Just run that now. Right. But then you can also ask the user a question. And they can actually, as well pressing enter, we can input something. So, what is your name? And then I could type in Dylan Pool. And you can input stuff. So, just to summarise input then, it allows the user to type. The example code to the right will ask the user for their name, and then these can type next to where it says what is your name, and then it then prints the user's name below. So we haven't covered this yet, but we haven't covered a little bit of that yet, but basically then we can actually just print their input if we store it as something called a variable. Now a variable, basically it can just change, and you can store things in variables. So if we say name, and we just have to come up with a name for the variable, equals input what is your name, it's going to save that input, so whatever the user types, as name. And then if we just do print below, and as we said we don't have speech marks when we're printing variables, just type in print name. If I run this now, what is your name? Dylan. Cool. We can just print that below. So, as I haven't filled it all in there, but let's just do that now. So if I said input what is your name, and then you type in the name after that, but then you'd need to store it as a variable, so it'd be name equals, and then below you'd print hello, and then plus name. So in a print, you can have a string and a variable. Well, well, just random text and a variable in the same print. You can have the hello and the name. So in this program, it will basically just ask these for their name and print hello and then whatever they typed in as their name. Okay, let's go back to Python. Actually, no, let's not. What we're doing next, variables. Okay, so we've already said about this. Variables can change. They can be called anything, but it's always a good idea to name them after the value it is storing. There are three main types: integer, string, and float. String variables hold alphanumeric text, and that's str is the short for it in the code. Float hold numbers with a decimal point, and you just call them float in the code. And integer variables hold whole numbers, int. So name equals input, what is your name, is an example. Right. And then we also need to know about grouping variables. A second. That's better. So you can group variables as well. So a single variable can replace multiple variables by using a simple line of code. In the example code to the right of the variable, new variable replaces postcode, house number, and height. So I'll just show you another example here. So if I ask the user, input, what is your first name? If I confused you about the data types earlier, don't worry about them, or anything, you'll pick it up as you go along. And then, obviously, let's just make a variable first name equals input. And we could say second name equals input. What is your second name? And then we could say full name equals first name plus second name, and then print your first name is first name plus and your second name is second name. Okay, then if we run that now, what is your first name? Dylan. What is your second name? Paul. Your first name is Dylan and your second name is Paul. Okay. You might be wondering, well, why not just ask for their full name? Well, if in the program you're calling them by their first name, you won't want to call them, okay, Dylan Poole. What do you want to? You want to say, hi, Dylan. Okay. So you can refer to them by their full name occasionally if you want to, or you could refer to them by their first name. So it's just good because you can call them by their first or second names, if you get what I mean. So that is how you group variables. And then what we can do now is, well, there's a few more things we need to know that are basic, is the .upper command. Now the uppercase command prints anything to the screen in uppercase. So this example here, this is how to use the upper command .upper. So I'll just show you an example. Love an example, don't we? Input, what is your place of work, for example. And then print, I'll just turn it to a variable. And then print, you work at plus work.upper. Now what this will do is it will print our place of work in uppercase. So if I just type in, I don't want to put in where I actually, go during the day, but it'll say there, you work at Stoke. So then that'll just print it in uppercase. And if I put the dot upper there, oh, that's not going to work. Oh well, just wondering. Right, so that is an example of how to use the dot upper command. It'll just print anything in uppercase. And then there's another thing you need to know, very basic, but comments. Comments are very, very useful when coding. They allow coders to write anything without it compiling with the code. So to do this, you put a hashtag and then write your comment, and they are useful in case someone else is reading your code, or if you come back to your code at a later date and not sure what it does. So you need to get used to commenting your code. So if I say, I don't know, hashtag ask for their name. If I run that now, it will do nothing. However, if I took away that hashtag, it's no longer a comment. If I run that now, ooh, invalid syntax. So it's not going to work. So when you put a hashtag in front of something, it doesn't actually run as code. It's just useful in case you come back to your code at a later date and you're not sure what exactly it does. So that's a comment. So for example, the programs we were using earlier, can I just get one back if I keep on? Here we go. Plus work.upper. I'll just put space there. Right, now if maybe in 10 years or so, when you come back to your code, not really 10 years, but maybe when you come back to your code at a later date, you wouldn't be sure what it does, and you could put in hashtag this code here asks the user for their place of work, and then prints it to the screen in uppercase. And that's not going to actually do anything when you're running the code, but it's just there for when you're coming back to your code and you maybe forget what it does. Alright, so that's fairly simple. Now, you can actually do loads of maths commands with Python. It's very, very simple how to do maths commands. So Python do maths, it's able to do many maths commands such as divide, multiply and subtract. You need to make sure you know what each mathematical symbol does what. So the little star is times, the slash is divide, the plus is add, and the minus is subtract. And you can do loads of commands, and you don't even need to write, you can write actual code, but you can actually just do it in the shell here. If I did 2 plus 2, 4, 6, 5 plus 5, 10, 10 plus 10. And then you can also do times, which is this, so 400 times, there we go. And then you can also, as we said before, Boolean, this means equal to, by the way, just a single one means assigned to. It'll tell you if it's true or false. So it can do maths. Now, it's a bit pointless just doing it in the shell, but you can do it in the code. So if I add to it now, let's say hours equals how many hours a week do you work? In fact, let me just open something as an example. Right, here we go. This is an example piece of code, and it's big, so I don't want you to get all panicky. I'm going to talk you through it. It's very, very basic. I'm going to talk you through it, and also something else is going to make sense when we do this. So it makes good use of comments. Just to say that, first of all, it comments each line saying what it does. using a hashtag. Now it's going to print welcome to the sleep calculator, and then it just has loads of stars. Them stars don't do anything. What you do is we just make it look nice. If I run it now, it just looks nice having that there. Okay, now we're printing a backward slash and an N, and what that does is it just adds a blank line using backward slash and N. Right, so this line here is very basic. Name equals input. Please enter your name. So it asks the user to enter their name, and it's going to save it as name. And then hours per night equals input hello plus name. How many hours per night do you sleep? So you should understand that. It's going to require a user from the input, and it's going to ask them how many hours a night do they sleep. Now going back to the data types. Now I really probably confused you earlier, but there's 4 main data types. We'll just look at the string, float and integer at the moment. We said that string is alphanumeric text, float is numbers with a decimal place, and integer is whole number. So let's just go back one sec to here. Now this is actually making use of these. So this is a bit of arithmetic. We looked at arithmetic doing it in here, with just not in there. In the shell, just doing like 3 plus 3, 10 plus 10. However, this actually shows you how it can be used, and it's making 3 new variables from this one. So from this variable where it asks the user how many hours per night they sleep, it works out using arithmetic the amount of hours per week, the amount of hours per month, and the days per month. Now, it can't do maths with a string. You have to say that it's a float, and then it'll do maths with it because it'll know it's a number. So hours per week equals float hours per night times by 7. So that works out the hours per week, and then from that it can work out the hours per month equals float hours per week times by 4.35, and then it can work out the days per month. So that is not hard at all. You should find that really easy, because well, we're going to get onto some harder stuff later. So if you don't understand this, maybe go back in the video a little bit, just recap some of the things we've done. But the float, string and integer, you need to know them really well. So I hope you understand what this float here does. But by putting float in front of it, it enables us to do maths, and it's saying it's a decimal point. It's going to be a number with a decimal point. Okay, now the next part in the code, hashtag rounding, is going to round up the numbers. And you can do this with the round command. So the days per month, it's going to be a number, it's going to have loads of decimal places perhaps. Now that's what you just put round, and we're making new variables again. Days, oh no, we're replacing the variables, more like, with a rounded version of what they originally were. Okay. Now, then here, by putting the comma 2, it's going to round it to 2 places. And then finally, output. So it's going to say how many hours you sleep, rounded up, per week, how many hours per month you sleep, rounded up, and then saying how many days per month it equates to. And then it just says press enter to exit the program. So then let's just run this now. Right, please enter your name, Dylan Poole. Hello Dylan Poole, how many hours per night do you sleep? So then this is going to require me to enter something. So I'm going to say, for argument's sake, 9. I do like my sleep. And it's going to say here, you sleep 63 hours per week, 274 hours per month. This equates to roughly 11 days per month. press enter to exit program. Okay, so hopefully you understand this code, but this is quite basic. If you don't understand it, then maybe go back a bit. Okay, now you might know about libraries already, but what libraries do in code is they allow you to do more stuff. They give you more functionality, you can call it. And in Python you import libraries, for example, for counting time, for different things, to do different jobs. So for example, with Python you can hack Minecraft on a Raspberry Pi. You might not know what that is, but to do that you type import Minecraft, for example. So to import libraries in Python you type in import and then you type in a library name. Now one of the libraries that's used all the time is time. One of the libraries that's used all the time is time. But yes, it is. With time you can wait seconds. So if I make a stopwatch timer, right, so I'll print stopwatch timer, and then I'll print 10. There's a lot easier ways to do this, but I'll just show you a very basic way to do stopwatch timer. And then you do time and then dot sleep, and then you put in the seconds in the brackets, and then that's how many seconds it'll wait. So then you can count down from 10 using this. Time dot sleep 1, print 8. Time dot sleep 1. I can't bother to go all the way. That's just tedious. Test. Okay, and then here it's doing stopwatch time 8, 7. Well, it will just carry on doing that. If I carried on, of course. So that'll just count down 10, 9, 8, 7. Okay, we have covered some of the very basics so far, but we haven't by no means gotten to a high level yet. There's still a lot more things we need to do. And the next thing we're going to do, well, after I just show you a few more examples of libraries, is we're going to do for, if, else, else if, and while. So another example of a library is random. Now, what random can do is you type in random.randint, and then you type in the two numbers you want a random number between, let's say 1 and 10, and then you can print, number equals, and then if you print number, it will give you a random number between 1 and 10, 7. And another example, I just want to do one more, sys. Now with sys you can do something called sys.exit. I think that's it anyway. And I think it just kills the program. Okay, so there's some examples of libraries. I've kind of done this in a weird order, but oh well. Now we're going to do if. Now with if, you can ask user questions. So, for example, let's just say, ask them a question. So let's do input. Let's ask them, have you got an account with Dylan Banking? And then if, let's just say answer equals, and then if answer equals no, Now that is basically how to do an if. You say if, then you say like a variable or something, equals equals, and then in speech marks no, then you do a colon. That's it. Sorry, losing my mind there. And then you don't there's no kind of opening curly brackets like there is in C++ or anything. It's just with Python it's the alignment. It's like there's a little margin on this because it's in the if. If I put it there, then it wouldn't be in it. So if answer equals equals no, print please make a new account. And then we could say else print continue with the program. And then let's just run that. Have you got an account with Dublin Banking? Yes. It'll say continue with the program. And if it's program, if I say no, it'll say please make a new account. So, but now, what if you want a third condition? Like, if it says something, do this. If it says something else, do this. If it says something else, do this. And if it says something else, do this. Well, you can do that with something called elif. So I'm going to add an elif here. Now, elif is else if. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say change this to please enter a valid response if they don't say yes or no. And I'm going to say if elif answer equals yes, print continue with the program. Okay, let's just run that now. It's all about the indentations with all these if else and stuff loops. So if I put in yes, it'll say continue with the program. If I say no, it will say please make a new account. And then finally, oops, open loads of. No. If I type in I don't know, it'll say please enter a valid response. So then to summarise this, I don't know if I've made a slide on this or not. If and else, yeah. That's it. Python can respond to answers and do certain things the user wants using if and else. Python's able to respond to the user by using if commands. This means the user can determine what happens with the code, whether it does one thing or another. So this is an example of an input. If answer, are you a hacker? If answer equals yes, please exit the program. Else, okay, you can now continue. These are the two possible outputs. It will say please exit the program, or okay, you can now continue. There we go. So that's if, elif, and else. Now there's one other thing we're going to do now, and we're going to do while. Well, for now. We'll do some other things later. We're going to do while, okay. So I'm going to show you something now. I'm going to show you another example. Dice rolls. Okay. So this is a dice roll counter, and it's very, very basic. I'm going to talk you through what it does, and hopefully we'll understand the code. Now, comment at the top, obviously. So this is importing a library called random, which allows us to generate a random number. So we're storing a random number. It's going to be generated with random.randint. It's going to be between 1 and 6 because it's got a 1, 6. It's going to be stored in a variable called dice roll. Then here we're creating another variable called counter, and that's equal to 1. And what it's going to do is it's going to print the dice roll between 1 and 6. And then we've done that before. You should understand that fine. That's all the very basics that we've done. And then here we've got a while, and it's while dice roll exclamation mark equal to 6. Now, wow, you might be thinking, what does that do? Well, the exclamation mark and the equal sign actually means not equal to. So what this is going to do is it's going to count how many rolls it takes to roll a 6. So then it's saying here, dice roll equals random.random 6, counter equals counter plus 1, print dice roll. So if we run that now, oh, we rolled it on the first time, how lucky. Number of rolls, 3. So the while, since this while the dice roll isn't equal to 6, counter equals counter plus 1, dice roll equals random.random 6, print dice roll. So it'll keep on printing them until it rolls a 6, and at the bottom it'll say how many rolls it took to roll a 6. So that is quite basic. See? Now at first, if you saw this, you probably wouldn't understand what on earth was going on. And now in the 36 minutes, you probably do. I'm going to continue showing you a few more things now. Have I got any more examples I downloaded? Let me just see this. Right, this is another example of while, yeah. It's called quiz question, so that's comment at the top. So the answer equals input. What is the capital of France? And it's going to skip a line. And this is a new thing here. Now, this answer equals answer dot title. Now, it's a bit like the dot upper, but you're adding it to the end of something. And what it does is it changes answer to title case. It's a different case. While answer does not equal Paris, answer equals input, incorrect, try again. Answer equals answer dot title, print correct, well done. And then it'll just say at the end, press enter to exit. Now what this, backward slash n, it'll just skip 2 lines. You can do that as many times as you want to skip lines. And what this does here is whilst the answer is not Paris, it's going to keep on asking us. So I'm just going to run this now. What is the capital of France? I'm going to put Berlin. Incorrect, try again. Madagascar. Please say I can spell this right. New York. France. Vietnam. Oh, I know, Paris. Correct, well done. Press enter to exit. And I'm just going to add something to this now. I'm going to import sys, and I'm going to do sys.exit. And that'll kill the program, I think. So I'll just type in Paris. Correct, well done, press enter to exit. I'm not sure what's going on there. I did only learn that today. I was never sure about sys.exit. But anyway, that's another example of a code with a while loop. And now I'm going to show you something else, which you will need to know with programming. Okay, 1 minute, I'll just open a new one. I'll close that down. Close that down. Here we go. Right. It's the for. Now for is, sorry about that, sometimes mine goes blank a bit when I'm trying to explain something, but it can iterate over numbers. So for I in range here, well, in a variable here we've got an array. We've got an array here, and it's storing many different numbers. And for I in range, Fibonacci, it's going to print it out. So whilst it's in range, it's going to print out these numbers. And then len, it shows how many of something there are. I'll just print this out. I'll just run the module. So this is the Fibonacci sequence. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the len here, and then it's just whilst it's in range. so it's going from 0 to 21. It's going to print out what number it is, so whether it's number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8, and what the Fibonacci sequence number is. I hope you understand that. But yeah, that's what the 4i thingy McJiggy is. So it's nearly coming to an end now. I can't think of much more things to say. Let me just go back to my slides. Have I got anything else? Nope. That's all I've made. Okay. I just want to show you a few more examples then. So this one here is quite complicated, but it's called Guess My Number. It's not got that many lines of code. It looks bigger because I've made this text so big. But basically at the top here, we're importing random, and then we're just doing a little bit of printing out some things at the start. So guess the number game, it's going to have that /n, it's going to have a line between this and this. Print them below simply because it looks nice, and then it says I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 100, try to guess in as few attempts as possible. Then it initializes the variables and generates a random number between 1 and 100. So then number is equal to a random number between 1 and 100. And then guess equals int input, what is your first guess? So then it's saying this is going to be a whole number, so then it can do stuff with it as a number. And then we made another variable here for the amount of attempts. Then this is going to create a loop, as we said. The exclamation mark of equals means not equal to. So while guess is not equal to number, if guess is more than number, print too high, else print too low. Guess equals int input guess again. So then that's just going to tell you to guess again. And then every time you guess, the attempts equals attempts plus 1, so it's going to keep on increasing. And then when you've done, it'll just print well done you took, and then it'll say the amount of attempts, and then it'll say attempts to guess. It was number, and then the number. And then it just says press enter to exit after 2 lines of gaps. And then let's just run this now. What is my first guess? Let's just go for 50. Too low, 75. Too high, 62.5. Now I'll just go 62. Too low. Let's go 70. Too high. 67. Too low. 68. Yay! 6 attempts. Actually, that's quite fun. I'm going to do it again. Run module. What's your first guess? 30. Too low. 70. Wow, I'm a wizard. 2 guesses. In fact, I'm going to screenshot that. Okay. There we go then. That's quite a complicated program there. So if you understand that, then that's really good. Right, now this one, I'm not sure I'm going to do that one. Let's just see. Right, now this one here is going to be the one I finish off on, and it's very complicated. And I'm going to talk you through it very, very, very quickly, because this isn't what I focused on this time. But this one's a binary search. So it's a program to perform a binary search to find the number that a user has thought of and written down. So the end loop will be set for 1 when the number is found or the user has given wrong answers. So then it's between 1 and 1,000, so we're making 2 variables here. Max equals 1,000, min equals 1. And it's going to print, think of a number between 1 and 1,000, write it down, are you ready, press enter. And then it's going to find the midpoint of the search. So to find the midpoint here, it's going to do max plus minimum divided by 2, and that's how you find the middle. And it's going to guess. My guess is, and then please enter too high, too low, or correct. And then the reply is equal to the user's input. And then it's just going to, now we looked at the dot upper. Now you can do the same with .lower, and it's just going to change it to lowercase. And every time it does a guess, it does guesses plus equals 1. And it's going to adjust max or min to find the midpoint of the new range. So if reply equals too high, max equals midpoint minus 1. If reply too low, min equals midpoint plus 1. And eventually, when it keeps on making the midpoint, when it keeps on refining it down to a select few numbers, it will eventually be able to guess. So I'm just going to run this now. Right, write the number. Are you ready? Percent. I'm just going to enter it there. I'm thinking of 70. Okay, my guess is 500, so I'm going to do too low. Too low? Am I mad? So I'm going to have to do that again. I'm going to guess 400. No, go for 400. So that's too high. 250, too low. 375, too low. Too high. Too high. Too low. Too low. Too high. Correct. 9 tries to guess the number. Now that is called a binary search, and it's a really cool thing, this program is, and it's actually quite advanced. It does it shows a lot of different things. Importing libraries for one. Does it? No, sorry, it doesn't. It demonstrates while loops, variables, print, input, if, elif, else, all of very basic things, different types of data, because you've got int. So that's very, very difficult for a beginner, I think. But if you understood that, then you're obviously doing well. Now that's all I've got for today. So I'm just going to say a second. So we've done all of this stuff, and thanks for watching. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. And I'm sorry if sometimes today I've got a bit caught up with my words and I haven't explained things too well. But hopefully now you have a really good understanding of Python programming. You know how to do all the basics, and you're now at such a level that, well, you need to continue on, obviously. You need to learn more and more things. For example, I haven't covered functions. You need to learn that. But once you get a higher and higher level, you will eventually be really good at Python, and this is a great first programming language. And once you learn one programming language, it's a lot easier to learn more. So anyway, I'll just say again, thanks for watching. Be sure to watch my other videos. Subscribe to Code Clear. No, not Code Clear, Clear Code. Alright, and see you next time. Longest outro.